Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be reviewing Orphan First Kill. I'm actually very excited because Orphan is like this horror classic that, even decades, a decade later, people are still talking about it. It's like, okay, it was that film. So let's get into this. If you haven't seen Orphan, then please just stop this and just go and see Orphan, because I am going to have to talk about Orphan before I go into the sequel. Orphan, it stars Isabel Foreman. It came out in 2009 and she plays this young girl who is actually an older lady. She has this form of dwarfism that makes her look like a child, but she's actually not a child. She's a full-grown woman who is actually crazy and a killer. She's adopted by this nice family who just lost their child, and they have two other children. So they say, oh, let's adopt a child, just to fill this void and everything. And they adopt an older child, which is Esther. Her name is Esther. Esther is, she seems really nice and warm and all of that. She's in the movie, she's from Estonia. They say she came from Estonia, but actually she's from a mental institution in Russia. And when they adopt her, they at first it's going well and nice and everything, but eventually they start seeing a lot of tendencies in her that's like, okay, what's going on. And as all of this is going on, Esther starts becoming so obsessed with her supposed adoptive father. She's in love with him and she hates his wife because they are together, and she wants to kill her and anybody that wants to come in the way of her being with her father. So the wife starts seeing a lot of crazy tendencies and she's like, there's something going on, and she starts to do a little bit of research. And it's annoying because while she's, I mean, it's a movie, but while she's doing all this research, the husband is like not even believing anything she's saying, and it's like, you are not serious, she's a good girl, blah 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 blah, but Esther is a murderer. So eventually she finds out that Esther is actually a woman. She escaped from a mental institution. They haven't seen her since that time, and she was actually one of their most violent patients in that place, and they used to have to wear her straight jackets because she used to harm the staff. And then when she finds out all of this, it's it's already gone really downhill by this time, and it's almost too late before she and her husband are able to do anything about Esther, because by this time Esther has already done a whole lot, almost killing everybody and anybody that got in her way. And the movie ended with the mother, the wife, kicking Esther into this icy water, and she just falls inside. It ends there. So let's get into Orphan First Kill. First of all, I really liked the poster because it kind of mirrored the art that Esther was known for in the first film. Because in the first film, she used to draw this really beautiful in quotes, paintings and drawings. But if you use a black light, it was actually just a gore fest of dead people hanging and slashings and all of that. So when I saw the post, I was like, oh, okay, this is nice, because it kind of had that whole black light kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've seen the poster, I'm sure you probably get what I mean. I really enjoyed watching it. When I saw Orphan, I was very young. I'm not sure why I saw this movie, because I'm generally not a fan of these types of movies, because I was even a child. So it's like, why are you seeing this movie? I was like, probably like, I'm not sure, maybe 14, 13, 15, I'm not sure. But I think I saw this with my sister, and she's doesn't really mind for these types of movies. So she was fine, but I'm like, oh my god, this is so creepy. And it was even more creepy because at that time, Isabel Foreman was actually a child pretending to be a grown woman. pretended to be a child. So it was like, this is just very crazy. Like, what is actually going on here? And even years later, a lot of people still talk about the movie and how crazy it was. And if you're interested, there's actually a true life story that happened kind of like this sometime. I think, was it 2010 or 2014, I'm not really sure, but if you Google it, you would see the story of this lady who pretended to be a child, an 8-year-old child, but she was actually an adult, and she was adopted by this family in somewhere in the US. And then they found out that she was actually a child, she was actually an adult, excuse me. And it became like this whole thing, and think they say she tried to kill them or something. They had to escape and run away and leave her. So it was just, I was like, oh my god, this is so creepy. The fact that this has actually happened in real life, and maybe it happened somewhere else that we don't even know about. So it was just like really weird when I read that story. And coming to Orphan, First Kill, I really liked that they were able to tie in the two stories and actually make it make sense, because it was, I felt like this was the type of thing that you could either hit or miss it. Because with Orphan, it's like this classic that people always talk about even up till this day. So if you don't get this right, why even bother? Like, why did you bother to even do it in the first place? Because everybody's going to come for you. You could have just not done anything, because nobody was asking for it in the first place. But they did a good job. They did a good job. I'm not going to be giving any spoilers about Orphan First. It only just came out August 19th, so I'm not going to be giving any spoilers on that. I'm just going to talk about, what I thought about the film and the acting and every other thing. So first of all, Isabel Foreman did an amazing job, because now she's a grown woman. I think she played they shot this when she was 23. I think now she's 25. So she's 23 and she's playing a child. So obviously they had to, like, do some de-aging technology kind of thing. And it was really interesting to see, because now that she's grown, the from this behind the scenes pictures I saw of the cast, they had to wear like this really high platform boots that made them really, really, really tall, and then made her look really small. But obviously they had to also use body doubles, because there were a lot of shots of her that actually looked like a child. But at the same time, it was a bit uncomfortable to watch, because her face looked like a grown woman, an actual grown woman. So it's like, oh my god, this is quite uncomfortable to watch, because we know that she's actually a woman. But honestly, this whole scenario is very uncomfortable, because even thinking about the first film is like, I had to rewatch that again so I could really, have it fresh in my mind, because I saw this like over 10 years ago. And even after watching the first film, it was like, oh my god, this is really weird to watch. But it was really interesting, because Isabel Foreman really did an amazing job. Even as a child, she really like murdered this character, no pun intended. And now seeing her as an adult replaying this character over 10 years later is like, oh wow, okay. But I'm not gonna lie, it was very uncomfortable to watch. But I'll just say that they really did a good job with the whole, technology, whatever technology they used to make her look younger. It was good. Like, it worked. It worked really well. But it was just really creepy to look, because she had like a grown face like on a child's body. So it was just weird and uncomfortable. But in First Kill, it's like she's kind of, they say it's first kill, but it's really not first kill, because obviously she has done this numerous times. It was just really, really interesting to see how, they were able to tie everything down. And in this Orphan First Kill, they are just trying to tell us how she got to that family's home in America. And they don't give us like an origin story per se, which I would have actually loved. They just kind of told us how she escaped from the mental institution, how she found herself in America. Honestly, I feel like this story is a story that they could just make into a trilogy, because if they wanted to explore her origin and how she became this killer, it would still be interesting to watch, and I would honestly pay to see that, because I want to know how Esther became this crazy individual. She did not just wake up and become a killer, obviously. It started from somewhere. She obviously has daddy issues. So was her father not like, you know, attentive to her, or did he abuse her? Like there's something there. There's something there. And if they did this with a much younger actress, it would actually make sense if they did it very well. Because I think that if they're able to get this prequel, sequel, right, then I'm sure that they would be able to get that right too. I think this kind of movie where some things were very laughable, because it's like, why are you guys doing that? That's not necessary. That is like very funny to see. Why are you doing that? You know that this cannot happen, but it's just that movie where you don't need to take it as serious. Just watch and enjoy. I would say that it's definitely not a movie that you need to see in the cinema. Of course, it's nice seeing a movie with a very much larger screen and in this nice environment and atmosphere, but you definitely do not need to see this in the cinema. It's something that you could watch on your bed, on your couch, in your house, in your room. It's really doesn't make any difference, in my opinion. I did not particularly like the tone of the film with the way it looked. I don't know what it's like. There's this filter they use that just kind of blurred things too much. I get what they're trying to do is like they're probably trying to hide the fact that she's a grown woman and trying to make her look a bit much younger, but it was at the point it just felt a bit too much. Like just tone it down a bit, like just a bit. It just felt too much for me, and it was just very to see. But nevertheless, I enjoyed her playing this character again. I enjoyed watching Julia Stiles. I think she did an amazing job with her character. She plays the adoptive mother, and it was really, you know, watching it. When it started, I'm like, okay, so where are they going with this? Like, still, you know what's going to happen at the end, kind of, but it's like, okay, are they going to surprise me in any way? And to be honest, they actually did surprise me. Say that I wish that the writing was a bit better, because it just felt very, very, very cliche and cheesy and just a little bit all over the place. I wish that they did a bit more with the writing, but the actors did very well with what they were given and the material they had. So I'm not even having any issues with the acting. It's just the writing was just a little bit could have been better. And I think the music could have also been better. I just felt a bit off sometimes. Like they put music that did not fit in some scenes in the scenes. So it's like, could have choose better music for this, but it was okay regardless, I guess. But it was a fun movie. It's not something that you should take seriously at all. Just watch, have fun, laugh at the cheesy parts that were very unnecessary, and just leave the cinema. So I guess I would give it a 5.5/10. A 5.5/10, because I think it should have been better. For this type of movie that everyone is okay, what are you going to do with this sequel slash prequel? You could have done a better job, in my opinion. But I guess it was a good attempt regardless. I would not mind seeing that origin story, and I hope they actually do that, like look into that, because I read somewhere that there could be a possible sequel, and I hope they actually do that and do it very well. I hope it's going to be better than this. But you should definitely see Orphan First Kill if you've not seen it. It's definitely an enjoyable film. You could watch at home or in the cinema if you want to. So I would definitely recommend that. If you've not seen Orphan, you should 100% see Orphan before seeing Orphan First Kill, because you would definitely not understand what's going on in a lot of ways, because there's a lot from the first film that kind of made a lot of sense after you see this second film. So you have to see the first film to see this second movie. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have seen Orphan First Kill, please let me know in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on the movie and also your rating, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like what do you think of the movie? 1 over 10, 0, 5, 10 over 10. Highly unlikely, but just let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would see you in my next video. Bye.